some boys. They tell you they love you, and then they have the gall to not show up to the wedding.
Is it just me, or is Pip suddenly super popular when it comes to making video essays? Oh my god, am I piggybacking off a trend? Or worse, am I stealing content?
No, of course not.
No. Oh, phew, I knew it. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about South Park, or more specifically, Pip Pirrup. It's a weird name. Now, many shows have characters whose sole purpose is to be crapped on, like Meg or Klaus or Zoidberg. I might make videos on 2 out of 3 of these people one day. Before South Park had Butters, we had Pip. But I can't do this alone. Presenting Lawrence Ross.
Thanks, Kitty. Hey, what's happening out there, everybody on YouTube? My name is Lawrence Ross, and make sure you check out my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show, available on your favorite podcasting platforms. New episodes are released on Fridays. Back to you, Kitty.
Thanks, Lawrence. Did you know Beetlejuice's first name is Lawrence? And goodbye, Pip.
I thought his real name was Lester Green, aka Beetlejuice, aka the King of the Whack Pack, on The Howard Stern Show.
No, I mean Beetlejuice of the critically acclaimed Tony-nominated Marvel Beetlejuice, which was cheated out of an award.
A characterization of Howard Stern actually appears in South Park. It's in the episode Fat Camp. It's in the scene with Kenny, Tom Green, and Johnny Knoxville. How exactly does this tie into the topic of conversation, you might ask? Well, it aired 1 week after the episode about Pip, which we'll get to eventually.
Cool, right? So, let's discuss, starting with Pip's background. Pip was, a recurring character in the world of South Park. I'm sure you notice how Pip looks weird compared to everybody else, as though he's from a different era entirely, and you'd be right to think that. Oddly, Pip has some basis in reality. Pip is based on the fictional character Philip Pip Pirrup of Charles Dickinson's Great Expectations, which is also a show on Hulu. Only good thing about it being a miniseries is it won't meet the same fate as Handmaid's Tale. Matt and Dre despised Great Expectations, so they used Pip as a vehicle to make fun of the novel. Oh god, how I wish I could do that with Lucy Snow of Villette. Now, whereas Butters' punishments are normally psychological and or emotional, except for the ninja throwing star, Pip's punishments were a different kind of terrible. I hate to say it, but Pip gets hit a lot.
I sometimes wonder if Pip is just a glutton for punishment, more physical than verbal, as seen in the following examples. In Cartman Gets an Anal Probe, Cartman farts, Pip becomes a target, and he's seen running around on fire before the end of the first act. In Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride, Pip is on the football team. However, he's told that the school doesn't have enough helmets for everybody, so he's got to do without. Stan hikes the ball, it goes over Cartman's head, Kyle goes to get it, and in the process he collides with Pip, opening up a big gash on the kid's head. Later in the episode, it's the big game against the Middle Park Cowboys. Pip gets the ball, and yep, he gets tackled. AstroTurf, not part of this complete breakfast. In An Elephant Makes Love to a Pig, there's a blink and you'll miss it moment. After Terrence, Bill, and Fosse present a cloned human foot, the thing kicks Cartman in the face, he kicks it away, and it subsequently bounces off of Pip's lunch tray. In Damien, not only does he get spat on, but he also turns out to be a prop in Damien's show at Cartman's birthday party. The floor opens up, demons grab him and throw him up in the air, and for good measure, fireworks go off around him. In Mecha Streisand, Cartman introduces Pip to the game of Rochambeau. And we're not talking about rock, paper, scissors. This is a battle to see which one is the last man standing after kicking each other in the fun parts. Spoiler alert, Pip loses. In Cartman's Silly Hate Crime 2000, after the guys have won their sledding race against the girls on Phil Collins Hill, Pip tries to get everybody to get behind Cartman by cheering, but nobody does. So Cartman throws a rock at him. There's one more painful experience for this British punching bag, but we'll get to it when the time is right.
Holy crap, that's a lot of examples, in proportion to the earlier seasons. Not even Butters suffers that much. In fact, I'd even say that out of all of these examples, Damien is the worst. The episode starts off with Cartman inviting people to his birthday party, which includes elephants and pie and cake and ice cream, and Pip can't go. That's good because he doesn't want to go.
I didn't get an invitation. Oh, really? Gosh, where could I have put Pip's invitation? Sorry, Pip, old chap.
Pip, don't worry. Next time Cartman throws a party, he invites Nambla. Save your bottom some trouble and stay home. Meanwhile, Damien, the Antichrist and son of Satan, comes to South Park to wreak havoc. Despite his sinful misdeeds, Damien becomes a loser, and now he must hang out with Pip.
Good day, Damien. My name is Philip, but everyone calls me Pip because they hate me. Then I will call you Pip. Righto.
Aw, friendship. Pip says that Damien should rip out the tampon and suck it up, but in a polite British way. Everybody picks on the new kid, but 2 weeks later, you'll be accepted. And maybe you'll become the protagonist of 2 successful video games. But I kind of feel like Pip has a weirdo dark side. Like, oh, better you suffer than me.
Good day. How are you, Damien? Those guys farted on me and then called me Fart Boy? Oh, good. Perhaps they won't call me that anymore.
Also, off topic, but we have to talk about one joke in particular.
Carmen's mom made chili.
That's my favorite kind of chili.
Good thing it wasn't Mr. and Mrs. Tennerman chili. I'm sorry I had to. Unfortunately, Pip gives Damien an evil idea. If you can't beat them, join them in beating someone else who can't stand up for themselves. While Pip suffers, Damien flourishes. Then there's Summer Sucks.
But I have to spend my summer in summer school because I can't be left alone. You see, my parents are dead. Your parents are dead? God damn you, suck, Pip.
Wait, he has to spend the summer in summer school because he can't be left alone on account of the fact that his parents are dead? Does he not have a guardian? Pip really shows off his marksmanship skills in this episode. Just look at how deadly accurate he is with the dodgeball. His first target is Kyle, but in all fairness, that's because he didn't know that you're supposed to get the guy on the other team. Hey, I'm blind and even I know that one. After Chef realizes that he just let the glory of the game go to his head, he just tells everybody, let's just go home already. Pip gave them the victory of South Park World Champions at dodgeball. What do they give him in return? What I like to call the Meg Griffin treatment.
Then there's 2 guys naked in a hot tub, where we discover that Pip, along with Proto Butters and Dougie, is one of the most unpopular kids in school, aka a Melvin. Oh, cool click name. During the evening, Stan is forced to play the most boring games possible.
I'm the head Wicca-Nicka, and you are all little Wickershams. We all sing the merry tune of Stratford until I yell, "Churrah!" And then you all fall down laughing and I join you as I find it funny too.
Oh god, they really hit the nail on the head. Life before cell phones.
You really ought to play, Stan. It's an awfully fun game. I've never been to England, but I'll bet the people there are real nice. Are people nice in England, Pip? I bet they are, huh? They got those thick noses and all.
Butters, that is terrible and racist and awful and disgusting, and you are part of the problem. No wonder you started the Wieners Out movement. So not PC. During one game, they put on girl clothes and pretend to be Charlie's Angels. Pretty wholesome, but where exactly did they get the clothes? Mackie wasn't dating Diane yet, and I don't think he has a sister, or any siblings for that matter. Maybe it's his mama's. As Charlie's Angels, Stan manipulates Pip and those other 2 unimportant characters into finding a way out. They are able to, even finding a TV set and some cookies. Mackie's a terrible host. They don't get cookies, or at least any kind of food. They're just trapped in the basement like cute little Caucasian girls. No offense. Too bad the ATF thinks that the meteor shower is some kind of a creepy cult who wants to commit mass unalive, and they're all too happy to do the job for them.
We just received a photo from the recon team of the action inside the house, showing evidence that there are indeed innocent children trapped inside.
Maybe this was because I was born in '99, but why was every cartoon back then obsessed with making fun of the ATF? Beavis and Butthead had them as antagonists. Was there some kind of historical event history class neglected to teach me? Seriously, I'm really curious now.
It seems like Stan was experiencing that moment where he just wants the whole situation to just be over. So maybe there's a possibility he just blocked out Pip's incredible marksmanship skills?
Good thing Pip has those superior marksmanship skills, probably as a result of his great dodgeball skills. And now, they've braved death in the face. That means they will be friends forever!
I'm glad to see you. You would not believe the night I had. You? You think you had a bad night? I had to hang out all night with these friggin' Melvins. Oh, dude, weak. Super weak.
Okay, with that out of the way, we can now talk about what I'm sure you guys are really hoping for. The episode many people consider the worst in all of South Park. Pip, the episode, not the character. This episode is so hated that it rarely airs. Even the Terrence and Phillip episode airs more often, especially when Comedy Central airs the episodes in order, and for some reason they always start off with that episode. Why don't they start off with the season 1 episodes? This episode's purpose was to write off Pip, who Matt and Trey and the audience were all growing bored of. Really, he only served one purpose, and as the show matured, he couldn't keep doing it.
Even though the production code for this episode is 405, it didn't air until November 29, 2000. The reason being is because Trey and Matt initially started work on the episode in the original run of the 4th season, but then they decided to set it aside. Interesting little bit of trivia, the guy doing the voice of the British person in this episode is Malcolm McDowell. Trey and Matt liked hanging out with him, and they also liked hearing his various Stanley Kubrick stories. Concerning this episode, here's a glaring plot hole. How come for an episode that's set in London, England, Steve, one of Estella's boyfriends, sounds exactly like Skylar Mole?
I don't know. I just don't know. The production of this episode took up so much time that everybody but Matt ended up hating it. Personally, I don't think it's that bad, but I can understand why people don't like it. And I'll get to that when I get to that. Anyhow, to any possible English major out there who doesn't want to read, I understand the struggle. We have lives. This episode is for you. It's like wanting to know about the Bible and all you do is watch VeggieTales. For that, you get a water buffalo. In England, Pip goes to visit his parents.
Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. It certainly is nice to see you again.
Oh, I guess that answers that question. Off the bat, I have other questions about this episode that I don't think it answers, and I think that's part of why everybody dislikes the episode. First off, when does this episode take place? Before Pip went to South Park? After he left South Park? Heck, is this happening on a summer vacation or during spring break? Is England like Canada, where it's part of the rest of the world, but it's like being on a different planet? Looking at things, the episode is too self-contained. For its own good. I don't care the boys don't appear. They've had pretty good episodes like that. Like the Golf Kids, Handy Car, I'm sure they could have done it here. It's just that those episodes all felt like South Park. This episode doesn't feel like South Park. If you've never watched South Park, you probably won't be lost. But if you're a casual viewer or a mainstay fan, yeah, it can be a little irritating. Don't worry, A Million Little Fibers, the other worst episode, has a similar problem. Oh wait, I'm rambling, sorry. You might get a lot of that here. I'm just warning you. Pip leaves the graveyard where he comes upon a convict whose name I don't catch. I think they call him something in the book, but I'm too lazy to Google it. So I shall call him Jean Valjean. It'll make sense later, I promise.
Did we breaky wakies out of prison? There you are. And here's a sandwich. You must be starving.
As a result of Pip's parents having Disney disease, Pip is currently living with his sister and her husband, Joe. And he is now a blacksmith apprentice. Oh no, a trade. How awful. It's not like it's a useful profession or anything. I mean, conventions obviously don't exist. Fun fact, Pip's sister doesn't have a name in this episode or the source material. She's just Mrs. Joe. No wonder she's so grumpy.
Oh, look here, I've gone and made a metal newspaper.
Shut up, you silly nit! What the hell are we supposed to do with a metal newspaper?
One night, Pip's family finds out there's an ad in the paper for a playmate for a rich girl named Estella. Estella is the adopted daughter of a rich shut-in named Miss Havisham. Havisham? You know, I'm just gonna call her Miss Hamster because I can't pronounce it. As a young woman, Miss Hamster was abandoned at the altar. And because this is a Charles Dickens novel, that rejection is her entire life. She's now like Miss Endive. Okay, you know what? Miss Endive is better than Miss Hamster, so now she's gonna be Miss Endive. If Miss Endive only wore her wedding dress, which honestly that dress probably smells and it has stains, like imagine the brown and the blood, ew. Then has all of her decorations and even her wedding cake left on the table untouched. Oh god, imagine the bugs, but good detail. I can tell that unlike me, the crew has read the book. What, it wasn't required reading? Anyhow, can somebody please make fan art of Endive from Chowder as Miss just Havisham and Panini as Estella. That would be so good. Pip meets Estella, who's got a mouth on her.
Up here, you gamey massive baby vomit.
Some Mean Girls joke. More is always better. Fearless. Someone gets hurt. I don't know. Much like Jimmy, Pip doesn't see a problem with it and starts thinking with his fingers and mash.
Does it frighten you to look upon a woman who has not seen the sun in over 20 years?
Oh, no. You sort of look upon women who have not seen the sun for over 20 years quite a lot these days.
Miss Endive auditions Pip as a playmate for Estella, not for her, that would be gross, and sees him as a mega cinnamon roll, which means he's perfect because Estella can take his heart and crush it into little tiny bite-sized pieces.
But he's just a commoner.
But you can break his heart.
Lady, you have way too much time on your hands. Now, okay, since the episodes progressed a little bit, I feel like I could give my own thoughts. Once again, I don't think it's that bad so far. It's not good or great, and I probably won't be seeking it out anytime soon, unless I have to review it again, which I don't think I would have to. But it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I'd rather take this episode over a million little fibers. If it's not obvious though, it easily could have been improved. The biggest way for them to do that would be more callbacks to the main show. For example, this scene right here.
We're going to play a little game called Smack the Blonde Boy in the Head with a Large Log.
Oh, yes, my sister and I play that game at home all the time.
Pip could be the only child who doesn't run for the hills, not because he has a heart which can't be broken, but because the other boys at school, they did worse to him. Remember Damien? But I have a few more points I want to hold off on. Pip goes to visit Estella and meets some loser kid who needs braces. His name is Herbert Pocket.
Who is that?
Just another playmate hired to amuse me. You didn't think you were the only one, did you?
Oh, I rather thought I was.
Don't worry, Pip. According to the book, Pocket is one of Miss Endive's cousins. And we all know that no British person in 1861 married their cousin. Bobby. Some rich-looking butler guy from London comes to talk to Pip and says that he has a rich benefactor. Butler dude says that said benefactor wants to basically make Pip an heir, but before he can get the money, he must be trained to act like a proper gentleman.
There's only one condition, Pip. Your benefactor wishes to remain anonymous. If you have any suspicion of who that person might be, you are to keep it in your own breast, understood?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that doesn't seem at all like a red flag. We all know we can trust strangers. Maybe it's the ghost of human kindness. Pip and Joe, because Mrs. Joe, oh god, is nowhere to be seen, believe Miss Endive is the one who's doing it. Yep, because she totally went out into the sun and made this happen. Actually, if you read the book, apparently at one point after the visits, Miss Endive was the one who gave Pip the money to become an apprentice, a blacksmith apprentice. Maybe it's not that far-fetched.
Pip, a young gentleman of great expectations.
Roll credits. In London, Pip finds out he has to share a room with Pocket, who's basically British Butters. So... margarine? Salted butter? What do you guys call butter in the UK? I'm curious now.
What a gay time we shall have, and I do mean gay as in festive. Oh, but dear me, I beg your pardon, you're holding your bags all this time. Pray let me take them, I'm quite ashamed.
Everybody knows it's Pocket. Kitty, I must remind you that you don't move a review to a screeching halt in order to do a thing with an outrageous accent, especially during a collab. And you're doing the accent wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, Pocket.
Not at all, I'm sure.
Are you mocking me? Because you sounded passive-aggressive as hell. Pip spends the next several months learning how to be a gentleman. Per the narrator, he does various gentlemanly things.
And he was shown how to dance and how to eat box.
Why? Eventually, he decides to drop by Miss Endive's house and thank her for his education. Letter writing? Clearly it's out of the way. Estella is not there, but... Endive is. Yay! During this time, Endive wants to know what Pip thinks about love. Is it a battlefield a 4-letter word, a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed and humans to make in-app purchases.
Blind devotion, unquestioning self-humiliation, utter submission, trust and belief against yourself and against the whole world, giving up your whole heart and soul.
Okay, that's normal. Miss Endive allows Pip to go see Estella at a ball and emphasizes that he has to love her. Love her, Pip.
I developed her into what she is so that she might be loved.
Be that dude from Moulin Rouge, Pip. Don't be Fred Casely.
And if she wounds you, love her. If she tears your heart into pieces, and as you get older, it will tear deeper, love her.
Look, lady, I hate to break it to you, but Pip's like 8. It's a harsh thing to say, but most people don't marry the first person they fall in love with. When you go to the buffet, do you go straight to the raspberry parfait? I don't know. I feel like this would have been a funny way to end the episode, because at the ball, as we've all guessed by now, Estella breaks Pip's heart. She's not dating Pip, she's dating this guy.
Hey, Estella, let's get out of here.
All right, Steve, just one moment.
Uh-oh, get Chris Hansen.
Who is that?
That is Steve. He is 17 and has a car.
Well, I mean, he does have a car. Maybe get Chris Hansen after the ball. Pip tells Miss Endive, who is absolutely screeching for joy, because she ruined the fragile emotions of a young child she doesn't know all that well. Mwahaha.
Well, I suppose that if you set out to break my heart, you did a very good job of it.
Yes, tell me about the pain. Tell me about the crushing and the prickly things.
Anyhow, I still think what I proposed would have been a cool thing to bring up. Say Estella rejects Pip, and Pip cries to Miss Endive, and Miss Endive rubs it in his face. Ha ha ha, she broke your heart, and now you're going to be sad and lonely forever. Only for Pip to be like, okay. Pip could say it sucks he can't be with Estella, but 1, she's her own person, and 2, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I mean, in the book, didn't he almost marry a girl who wasn't Estella? But now, since he's a gentleman with a fortune to inherit, a fortune he thinks Miss Endive is giving him, he's got plenty of opportunities ahead, and likely also many other girls to meet. It just hurts now because it's fresh. I just bring this point up because this is where they start to diverge. Pip questions why Miss Endive has spent all of her life trying to get petty, minuscule revenges on little boys. Isn't it obvious? No? Okay, fine, let the episode explain.
As I need the tears of broken-hearted men to use in my Genesis device. I will fuse my soul into Estella's once and for all, and then I can go on breaking men's hearts for another generation.
Yep, I bet that happened in the books. Charles Dickens, you old fool. Actually, no. I was shocked too. Okay, so I was curious, and apparently this is what happens. In the book, Miss Endive felt bad about what she did, and then she's the one who tells Pip about why she's crazy and stuff. And then her dress catches fire because it's freaking old and probably has never been washed. And then she dies. Not in that scene, I think. She dies off page. Pip discovers that Estella is the daughter of Jean Valjean. So basically she's Cosette. Only Jean Valjean never found out what happened to his baby. Jean Valjean wasn't supposed to go back to England, and he ends up in the hospital where he dies. And then Pip tells Jean Valjean that Estella is his daughter. Pip ends up in Cairo working for Pocket, where 10 years later he returns to London and discovers Estella's now widowed. Oh, I guess that car wasn't so good after all. And because Miss Endive's no longer with us, Estella finally marries Pip. But that would be too boring and too long and complicated for a South Park episode. Wait, holy crap, that's it. Maybe this is the reason the episode doesn't work. It's not that the episode's too self-contained, well, I mean it is. It's because they adapted way too much. Think about it. When Family Guy or The Simpsons parody something, it's usually a 7-minute short. And it usually just gives a broad strokes version of what happens, or keeps to the spirit of that work while giving it their own feel. But suppose shows do a full-on episode? They don't do it beat by beat. They merely have the existing characters take on the roles without fundamentally changing them. I appreciate the research going into the episode. It really looks like they did their homework and then some. But this episode easily could have involved the boys and been a better goodbye to Pip. I don't know. I'm rambling. I guess at the end I'll tell you how I think things should have gone. Miss Endive uses robot monkeys to keep Pip from interfering. And Pip runs home to talk to Joe. Where is his sister? Read a book. So what if this book is over 500 pages? Twilight was 500 pages. Pip learns from Pocket about the truth of Jean Valjean. He was the one who financed his education.
But why?
Because back then you treated me like any other person. You weren't a snob and you helped me like you would a rich man.
To my viewers, a quick lesson. Always be a kind person, because in the end, you might end up getting something out of it. Pip grows up here and decides to go and tell Miss Endive that she can't use Estella as a flesh vessel. So what if Mongdal stood her up? Miss Havisham, oh, I finally said it right. In the 3 hours Pip has gone, has hooked up the Genesis device to transfer her soul into Estella, and it's powered by the tears of all of Estella's ex-boyfriends.
Dear God, Pip, look!
Estella, help me! I'm your boyfriend!
So am I.
And me. We were all Estella's boyfriends at one time or another. Now we're doomed.
Oh my god, that girl goes through boys quicker than Randy goes through beers. Gluten-free beer. Look, lady, are you sure you really need this Genesis device to make you immortal? I mean, that girl's crazier than you. She's leaving behind a legacy. I mean, come on, you sit in the attic all day. She kills rabbits for the fun of it. Several dozen. Pip tells Pocket to keep the guys from crying.
Think about panda bears.
Panda bears make me sad. They're almost extinct.
That makes me a sad panda. It makes me want to cry.
Let's talk about
Ice skating.
Oh, what fun ice skating is!
I can't ice skate because no skate fits my feet, because I have weird feet. The last time I tried, I almost broke my ankle, and that makes me sad. Pip ends up being so boring that the boys end up crying. Idiot. But Pip is able to convince Estella not to go through with the plan by showing her empathy.
I don't want to. I don't see the point in this.
What?
I don't want to kill any more of them.
There! You see? You do have a heart!
Pip, I get what you're saying, but that's boredom, not empathy. Estella rejects the device, and Miss Endive joys.
Ooh, top smart, Pip.
Oh, I guess they copied the book after all. And Pip is no longer a character outside of background shots. Oh, but what happened to him, Kitty? Surely Matt and Trey remembered him.
My name is Pip. I would like to see if you wouldn't mind not smashing our little town to bits.
Damn it, Barbara.
For all the criticism that South Park has lobbed at Family Guy, I gotta think that Pip's death in this episode was inspired by the death of Patty Taninger from Hell Comes to Quahog, Season 5, Episode 3. I think in retrospect, getting rid of Pip makes more sense because I gotta think it's tougher to write for this dapper gentleman character who happens to live in a screwed up mountain town like South Park. I feel that Trey and Matt used the 201st episode to really drive the point home that they don't like Great Expectations by Charles Dickens and the Pip character as a whole.
Okay, as promised, here's my version of how the episode should have gone. The episode takes place in South Park, normal South Park. Kenny or Butters could have been like Pocket. Dan and Kyle could have been Joe, or maybe Dougie could have been Joe, or any other side character. Somebody who would be willing to hang out with Pip. Let's say Timmy. Estella, Valjean, and Miss Endive could be the only characters who actually appear. Maybe Pip gets bullied at school one day and notices a cute girl named Estella Havenspiddlebound, who moved to South Park. Estella is coincidentally British like Pip, and living with her grandmother, great aunt, whatever you want to call it, who is a crazy, reclusive woman with a lot of money. Pip, don't go after her. She's rich and stuff and totally out of your league. Then on the way home, Pip could help somebody who turns out to be an escaped convict. Sometime later, Pip learns that Miss blah 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 put an ad in the paper to find a friend for her daughter. All the boys audition because she's paying well, but Miss blah 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 doesn't want them because they do crazy things, like throw rocks at cars, eat cut up hot dogs. Pip ends up being the purest kid in South Park, so he's chosen. Maybe there could be a joke about how everybody's acting like they're in a novel while the world goes on like normal. Who knows? Afterwards, Pip learns he's getting sent away to a fancy boarding school with Estella's cousin Pocket. Scene plays like normal, and then Pip comes back. Estella left to date somebody, let's say Token, because unlike Pip, Token has money. Scene plays like normal, and then Pip learns about the Genesis device. The episode proceeds. Pip and Estella end up together, but Estella has to go back to England because her grandmother died. So Pip ends up making the journey with her, and the two live happily ever after. Pip is among his own kind, and he has a girlfriend. He says goodbye to the kids who don't really care, and that's that. This way, they could write off Pip and not have it seem weird, or have him, like, I don't know, develop bravery or something. Okay, I don't know. I'm just gonna turn it over to Lawrence.
It seems easier from a comedic standpoint to have a character like Butters because there's more potential for storylines. I'm sure that if Pip was still around, he'd probably either be a total buzzkill, or he'd probably just be relegated to just another background character who we hardly ever hear from. In my book, Butters is the better punching bag because he's easier to blindside. Take it from me, the blind guy. Well, I want to thank you very much, Kitty Monk, for having me on your YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you liked my contributions, check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lawrence Ross. Check me out on my various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and or Instagram, all of those ending in /Blind Lawrence. That's BLINDLAWRENCE. And if you want to check out my interview with Kitty Monk, check it out on my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show. Search for it on your favorite podcasting platform. New episodes are released every Friday. Bye, everybody.
Well said. Thanks for being on, Lawrence, and you other guys. Check out everybody's channels. Thanks for having me, MonkeyCon, especially as I write the script on the Amtrak 2 DC. And goodbye, Pip.
We can still catch the end of the fight.
Oh, what a splendid party.